So, hello, welcome back to McKinley. In this video, which is the second in the Loco lighting series, if you remember that lockdown special that grew arms and legs, we're going to show you how to modify the two switch Bachmann locomotives, that's the PCB, and we're specifically focusing on the Class 37. And I'm also going to talk to you about the modifications we make to the Helljan family of 00 locomotives.
Right, here we are with a 37 Bachmann dual switch Loco. The decoder you have to use is a 21 MTC MKL LoKsound V5. So the first thing we need to do is take the screws out of the Loco, which I've already done, and then take the top off, and she's now ready to be sorted out. As you can see, this one's already had the wires soldered on the tag and got rid of those horrible plastic clips that they use. So that's already been done. So this is just now ready to have the conversion done. You will need to take off this chip so that we use this new chip that we need to use. So next, what I need to do is because the speaker wires are soldered to the PCB chip, I just need to unsolder them. Right, so what we need to do is run a wire from number 3 tag across to number 13 pin and solder. Then the next wire will be pin 2 across to number 14 tag. I'm now going to solder the wire to number 3 tag, and then once I've done that, it then comes round, sort of cut it to the length you need. I just tin the end of the wire. And that goes to aux 3, which is 13. And then again, what you do is you just check it and make sure it's soldered okay. And then just run the tweezers down both sides just to make sure that you haven't got it bridging against the other legs. And then once that's done, you now go to number 2 track, solder it on. Give it a few seconds, then run that across, and that will go to the next pin, which is 14. Again, cut. That's a little bit too long, so you just trim it after you've tinned it. Right. And then once it's soldered, again give it a little tug. You'll soon know if it's not soldered on, and again just check that it's okay, and then that's that stage done. So here's the MTC decoder. It comes already with a sugar cube speaker, but we don't actually need to use that because the Loco's already fitted with a speaker. So I'm just going to unsolder these wires. and now it's ready to put the wires on. So once the speaker wires have been soldered onto the new chip, it's now ready to be fitted. And like I say, always go careful because it's easy to bend the pins. So there you go, it's all done. And it's now ready for testing. So again, when you're putting the body back on, make sure you don't catch any of the wires. And now, I won't put the screws back in it just yet. Always check it before you do, in case something's not right. To summarise, switch 1, cab lights stay on, switch 2, tail lights off. This modification requires an MKL chip. Cable modifications are tab 2 to aux 2 and tab 3 to aux 3.
So moving on to the Heljan engines, there's a consistency in the way that they've been made. I've got a couple of Heljan circuit boards here that are common through the whole family of Heljan models, be they the 47s, the 35s, the so on and so on. They're an 8-pin connection. So with 8 pins, the problem you have when you want to do the modifications we want is you run out of pins. There's 8 here, 2 for the motor, 2 for the track power, that's 4. 3 get taken up with the standard lighting common, positive, and then the returns, which is yellow and white. That takes you up to 7. And on this you only have one aux output, which is the green. And therefore what we've done, and if you see on this one here, we've strapped in the wires for the 2 red lights at each end. But in order to separate out the power mechanism, you end up taking out in 3 places, and it's not very easy to see, but we basically broke the track circuitry here, the track circuitry here, and the track circuitry here underneath this green wire here, so that these return leads come back to these 2 wires, the green and the purple. Let me explain with some diagrams to help what I've talked about here. I've also identified a missing wire, but let's first go on. Here is the motherboard as it stands in its normal unadulterated position. We've color coded these things. This helps us to work out what we have to do. The first thing we talked about was the 2 cuts in the tracking on the left hand side. They're marked with the mauve crosses in the white wire. The third cut we make is on the right hand side. It's on the yellow tracking, and it's between the 2 points there. It's quite detailed, but a simple drilling cut will get you into that. The next thing you have to do, which I failed to describe but is shown in the video visually, is you have to reconnect the white wire from the right hand side through to pin 6, which is the white wire. If you notice from the diagram, you can see that it's being cut in 2 places on the left hand side, and the right hand side is where it's needed. So that wire needs to go from that point on the right through to the underside of pin 6 to enable the head codes to work. Then there's the simple process now of adding the green wire to the right hand side tail lights. That goes through to aux 1. And then the last slide shows the purple wire connecting from what was the white strip, is the bottom wire on the right hand side, the bottom connector, through to aux 2. And that gets you through to the point where we've got to on the video. When it comes to putting them into the chip, the ESU lock pilots and LoKsounds, they have connectors across here, and typically they have got connector pads for the green and the purple, and often there's wires, but we end up breaking out the green wire from going to the 8-pin NEM pocket, this sort of NMRA pocket, sorry, and taking them to a separate connector here. There's a story why we've gone to 5, and I'll briefly touch on that, but that's not really relevant to this conversation. We found that a lot of the Heljan locomotives use a light bar going across. So underneath this here, if I'm to take this off a second, bear with me. there, you will see that that was the socket for the rear light bulb. This is the head code light bulb. And there was a piece of plastic that goes across here to light up both sides. And what Helgem did is the Western region locomotives had a white light on the left and a red light on the rear, on the right. Helgem painted this light bar with a red at one end and a white here. So we were seeing both the white and the red light coming on as the train was going that way. And the same would be in this direction, where the white light be on here and the light bulb that was in here be lighting a white and a red. And when I read the books, I found to my surprise that a lot of locomotives only ever had one red tail light, and that the Western region locomotives like the warships and the Hymex had a single white lamp that shone beneath the head code box over here. So because when you get into the rivet counting that we do, we ended up in putting in dedicated LEDs to these two different lights. Pete drilled out some holes, wider ones, put some LEDs in, and then ran the wires to this complicated loom here. So it's a bit of a distraction story, but if you want to run your tail lights on Helgem, you make those 3 cuts there, you take this to a pair of wires, and then you put that to a 2-pin connector, an inline connector with it, like the 2mm male and female, that you plug in off of the 8-pin connector. So that's the story and the journey we did with Helgems, which started, as I said, with a simple project to modify a couple of locomotives. It grew arms and legs, and we still haven't finished all the engines.